Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mastrius. This is our second event in Mastrius Experience Week. If you missed the critiques yesterday, you can access them online. If you're a Mastrius member or if you have a Mastrius events membership. If you're not familiar, frog in my throat today, excuse me. If you're not familiar with Mastrius, stay on the call after this event, and I'm going to share a bit about what we do, our amazing community, and how you can be part of it. Today, I'm joined by our lead master here at Mastrius, Veronica Funk, and we'll be chatting with Heather Pant, who is one of our most popular master artists, who is mentoring aspiring and emerging artists currently with us. All right, I'm going to introduce Heather. Ladies, you can join me. Heather joins us from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. She has been a professional acrylic painter for over 2 decades. She has a vibrant style, loves color, and uses both to paint mesmerizing scenes of the Canadian wilderness. Her paintings are collected internationally, and as an accomplished graphic designer in her previous life, is an expert on both the artistic and business side of being a professional artist. Heather has her own story of becoming a full-time artist, which I'm excited to dive into today, and had to listen to that voice inside her head that said, hey, you know who you are. You know what you're born to do. She's an experienced and refreshingly honest voice of clarity and encouragement, and gives freely of herself and her talent to all the artists she works with. Welcome, Heather. You're muted. You have to unmute. You're still muted. Oh, you're muted again.
Unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
How are you? Me? Can you see me?
Yes, I can. How are
Sorry
you?
about that.
That's okay. We practiced earlier, but it's still tricky.
It is. That's crazy. Well, hi everybody. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, Heather. And I also want to introduce Veronica. You can join us, Veronica. She's also joining us from Alberta, but from Airdrie. She's one of our local masters. The focus of her work is the creation of visual stories using layers of vibrant acrylic color and pattern inspired by contemporary street art. She's very well known for her portrait series on women, whether it's grandmothers, nasty women, women's work, heroes, and more. Which one are you working on right now, Veronica?
I'm just starting women's work. On the wall behind me is Extraordinary Women that I just finished, and then the Grandmothers is being exhibited right now at the Leighton Center.
That's right, awesome. Yeah, Veronica is also mentoring aspiring and emerging artists with us, and I believe you have a new emerging group launching in April.
Yes. We're going to work through creating a body of work. So that'll starting in April. I'm looking forward to that because it's a daytime workshop. So that'll be fun, our mentorship.
Oh, good. Yeah, that topic is really, really awesome. I think you're the first one to really tackle that in a mentorship group. So that's cool. And for myself, I'm Julie deBoer. I'm one of the founders of Mastrius. I'm a professional artist. I'm also a member at Mastrius, and I'm being mentored by Mitchell Elbala. And it's totally a game changer for me as an artist. I do large whimsical acrylic landscapes and pretty flowing style and bold and whatnot. And that is me. Before we dive in, I just have a couple announcements. This being Experience Week at Mastrius, we have 2 more events this week, Thursday and Friday. So Thursday we're tackling products and licensing for the first time in one of our panel discussions, which is with Cindy Revell, Mark Jaime, and Pamela Beer. It's a 1 hour, it's going to be action-packed and info-filled, so come and bring your questions. And then we also have a live demo on Friday with Garen Baker. He is one of our masters out of New York City. He's a painter, instructor, very big name in the US, and he'll be doing a 2-hour demo. So excited for that too. Grab an events membership if you're not a member already. You'll save a bunch of money and you get access to the event recordings, and you get access to the Mastrius community on our chat platform, so you can get to know us and see what we're all about. And we're also giving away 1 month of an events membership today for someone who is here in the audience. Stay after the event for my chat, and I'm going to draw a name from those who are there. And you'll get 1 month free for events, which will save you at least $60 this month, because we do a live event every week at Mastrius, and they're all free for members. So yeah, anyways, stick around. We have over 100 artists registered for this event. Welcome everyone. And as usual, put your comments and questions in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're from, who you're being mentored by, or if you're not ready for that quite yet. And yeah, and we'll get going. All right. So deep breath. This is fun. This is nice because we're not too scripted. We're just going to dive into, Heather, your particular kind of artist journey and story, what that was like for you.
Yeah, I could dive in, but first I want to say hi, Veronica. I've been following you for a long time, and I'm a fan. And I want you to paint my portrait as one of the nasty women. I think that's so cool. What is your nasty? I know I shouldn't be asking, but what do you mean by the nasty women?
Well, I did a 100 portraits in 100 days based on, the political climate that was happening down in the States at the time. Oh. But I was creating a positive twist on a negative comment. So I just put out a call. 100 women contacted me within a few hours and said, yeah, I want to be one of your nasty women. So and they were from university students to moms to our mayor. And yeah, it was fantastic.
That's so neat. Darn it. I should have called you and said, get me into that. That's wonderful. Well, my beginnings are very humble. I have humble beginnings. What do you want to know? When I say I live to paint and I paint what I love, that is the true sense of the sentence. Mm. What I mean by living to paint is I live passionately. I try so hard to love every minute of my day, whatever sense I can. And painting is one of my major passions. I've had it since I was born. Long story. I was adopted. My birth mother was a painter too, and I had no idea. I was painting my whole life. And then when I was 31, I found her, and she was an artist in New York. What? And I was an artist in Chicago. And wow. It was the wildest ride of my life, was to meet her and to go to New York and see her studio and the galleries she was in. And it was an amazing journey, but that pumped me up a level, because then I knew it was real. I knew that I really was born to paint when I found that connection. So that gave me confidence to continue on painting as a journey. So that's where that all came from. It also came from a Robert De Niro movie. He goes, I love what I do, and I do what I love, or something like that. He was like in real mafia. And when he said it, I was like, I live to paint, and I paint what I love. And then I was like, that's my motto. That's my truth. So that's when I started putting it all over everything.
So what inspires you, Heather?
The truth is the land, the wind, the movement of the earth, that inspires me. But also I found that some of the best work I ever did was when I was at the lowest points of my life. And that was because I crawl into my paintings like I'm painting my own little world, that everything is pretty and, beautiful and colorful. And that kind of inspires me too. It's funny, but the bad times inspire me to paint, which is really odd, except for this pandemic. That kind of messed me up.
Messed everyone up. Oh.
Yeah, that kind of messed me up. But yeah, I try to live passionately. I try to smile as much as I can. I try to aim high. I stay strong. I aim high. So
I was
That's what I
thinking
try to tell my groups, you know, in my sessions. I try to tell them confidence, believe in yourself. You're not here out of a fluke. You're here because you're actually passionate about this and you enjoy it, you know? So you got to find the way to enjoy it more. That's all, you know? So yeah, that's what inspires me. People, love, this beautiful, beautiful land we live in. Oh my gosh. I feel so blessed every day to wake up in Canada. I can't even tell you. I'm originally from Chicago. There's no sky. When I came here, it just freaked me out. It freaked me out. It was like I had lightning going through my fingers because I wanted to paint so bad when I saw this land, the slopes and the drama. I love it all. So yeah, that's what inspires me. And you guys inspire me too.
Likewise. Awesome. Heather, can you tell us a bit about your story of how you started, how you kind of pursued art professionally, that whole process?
Well, okay. Let's see, where do I begin? I always loved to paint, and I always painted. I was always in different associations and little shows and stuff as I was growing up and as a teenager. And in my 20s, I went to school for advertising illustration. They didn't have graphic design at that time because that was before computers, which is telling my age. But I started as a graphic designer, and I was always painting on the side. And so I had that awesome full-time job that I could use my creativity for. I used to work for a big, huge publishing company. Well, anyways, long story short, I came to Alberta, Canada, because I fell in love with my first love, and he was living in Canada, and he invited me out here, and I freaked out, and I loved it. And I moved here like 15 years ago, and he designed books for engineers, and I did all of his graphic work for him. So we were like the dream team. I was the marketing person, and he was the salesman, and he would sell, and I would design ads and design the book, and then we would distribute them. We were like, you know, the dream team. Well, things kind of took a turn for the worst, and he kind of, I mean, I don't want to say this publicly, but I am. He kind of tanked. The business tanked, and the business tanked because of the oil and gas industry started having some problems. So we were living in a great big house, and we had 2 kids we were raising, and we needed to figure out really quick what to do. So, I mean, you got to feed the kids, right? So I started painting more and more. And I thought, you know, he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm going to set the stuff out outside on the street, see if I could sell a couple paintings so mama can make some dinner tonight, you know? And I sold a few. And then my little son at the time, my stepson, he was like 7 or 8. He was like the best salesman there is. He was like, you're only going to give her that much? Look at this, you know, he was like fantastic. So I literally started selling work because of the need. It kind of pushed me to let go of the computer design and use my hands more. It's kind of funny, but it pushed me to paint more. And so I was doing what I love. And then when it started to work out, you know, because I was literally like parking myself anywhere I could. I'm like embarrassed to say this, but like I was on street corners with my paintings in front of like McDonald's going, hey, you want to buy a painting of some poppies? You know, that's how bad it was. So yeah, but I did it. And every time I made money from one of my paintings, I would take that money, I'd reinvest in materials and my supplies. And I just kept reinvesting in myself and reinvesting. And it just kind of blew up. You know, and I started to like do really well. And I was like, sometimes I had to pinch myself. I'm like, am I dreaming? Because this is really what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to live by my brush. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So yeah, that's the truth. I want to give my truth because I like to sleep at night. So I try really hard just to say, look, you know, we're all human. We all have passions. The truth is I didn't come from, you know, I didn't have this big easel behind me. This big easel I just got like 2 years ago. This was the dream for me to have this easel. It took me 50 years to get the dream easel. I'm kind of a slow starter.
Congrats on your
Took me
dreams.
50 years to get that.
Oh, I just want to interject, the idea of life throwing you a curveball, like oil and gas tanking, right? And then you having to shift. And for Mike and I, that was our story too. Mike was an oil and gas engineer too. And then the industry became unstable. He was laid off. And that's where Mastrius comes out of, was an opportunity to do something new.
And look at how that door just opened, right? It's like bad stuff can happen, but it turns into something amazing.
That's right. Yeah, that's so cool. Love it. Thank goodness the oil and gas is, well, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I want them not to tank, okay? Because I want to be able to drive my car to bank without spending $500.
There's a good point.
It is interesting. That is true, how so many good things come out of hard things.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's what the cool thing about life, that's what inspires me too. The fact that bad stuff can turn into super awesome opportunities.
Yeah. My bodies of work, like these series, developed because I developed adhesive capsulitis in my shoulder, so I couldn't work large anymore. So that it actually was it was one of the best things that happened to me.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts? That's nuts.
I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I'll bet you most of your master painters have really good, deep, juicy stories on how they got to where they were.
Yes, and that's why
we have to find out more.
Exactly. Well, we talked with Artist Goodwin last month, and her story was unbelievable too, like a massive hardship that that kind of threw art in her lap. And I've heard that from our members too, like art found them during a really hard time. It's amazing.
Yeah, what a gift. What a gift it is, isn't it? Art is a gift to begin with. So
yeah.
And it blesses you throughout your entire life.
And everyone else. Yeah.
That's what's so cool about it. That's what's so beautiful about what we do as artists. All we're doing is we're producing love. We're making the world more colorful or in black and white, but we're doing something to make people happy. It's about feeling at home or feeling at peace, or I think we're super, super blessed to have all of the gifts that we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Lord has been good to me.
Yeah, me too. Amen.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Heather, the other day I was talking to a group of high school students, and this is a question I get a lot. How do you get past a block?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to give you my secret, because I had a major block. Like I've been blocking, like I've been in and out of a block since the pandemic started, because I'm a passionate painter, because I paint with my heart and soul. It was affecting me. It was bringing me in and out of my stuff. So what I do when I'm feeling blocked is I paint a painting that I painted before. I go back to my collection and I say, what's one that I really, really liked, that I really enjoyed doing? And that gets me out of my block. I paint a painting that I've already done, and then I enhance it, or I add something to it that I wanted to change. And then it blossoms into, I'm back in the groove again, because it is a groove that you get into.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do. That's how I get out of my block. I find a painting I've already done and I paint it again.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, whatever works, right? When you're in a block, you're like, oh my God, help me. So yeah.
I think that's important. I think we forget you got to keep working in some way. For me, I mix medias. I will start working on altered books, just to try something different. But yeah.
Oh yeah, like I tried those water oil paints. That was pretty fun. That does too. That works too. I've done that too. I mean, I've changed medium, go back to trying an oil painting, and then, you could switch around. that helps too. But when I'm blocked, I'm usually really blocked. So then I go right back to where I started and I paint something that I've already painted.
Yeah, that's good for your confidence too, because you don't have to do a whole new composition and question everything. Yeah. That's
Right. You have all the answers already. You just need to paint it. And that will bring you out of that block. You know, it makes you a little bit more creative because you're not worrying about anything except enhancing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If anyone has questions for Heather or Veronica, please feel free to throw them in the chat.
Are we getting hearts and stuff?
Oh, lots of comments, lots. Yeah, like, let's see. There was an amen. Love that. We are so blessed. Heather, you're freaking adorable. We're talking about Heather's work.
I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of chit chat going on. That's great. Thanks, guys.
Penny, I love you too. I can see it. I saw it.
So one thing that I always wonder about, like I tried going full time for a few years and I found it really challenging. I do better doing like half-time painting, half-time Mastrius. But for both of you, even the question I would have is when you're going full time, and Heather, I know that you're like really, really painting all the time. You're very busy. You have lots of galleries who are selling lots of work. How do you keep having fun doing kind of the same thing? Not that you're doing the same paintings, but kind of doing the same thing day after day. How do you do
that? That has been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's paint color. Like a lot of times when I start to feel kind of like, oh my God, I'm gonna paint the Three Sisters again. I got a Three Sisters commission, you know. And it's like, how can I put that back in my collection? I have like 500 Three Sister paintings. I want to add another one, but it's a new color combo, right? It's a new color. Like I'll go to Swinton Art Supply, or I'll go to Kensington, or I'll go to Michael's, and I'll be like, ooh, look at this color. I've never used this before. And that will get me in the groove. Like, what could I make my shadows with if I make my highlights with this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that helps a lot. That helps a lot. But working full time as a painter is like, I don't know, I've been finger painting since I was in kindergarten. So it's like, it's pure joy. I can wear my slippers. I wear my pajamas. It is hard work. You know, the worst of it is your own mind, because your own mind tells you this has got to be better than your last piece. This is your masterpiece. This is, you know, I'm always chasing the masterpiece. I'm always trying to get to this some level in my mind that's the perfect painting. You know, so it's like challenging yourself to top yourself every time you do a painting. And that's what I try to do, but it can also drive you crazy and you can end up cutting off your ear like Van Gogh. But how about you, Veronica? How does it work for you? I mean,
I don't
kind of insanity.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? It's interesting because mental health is really important. There's some, you know, addictions and suicide in my family history and clinical depression. And at one point in my career, I tried to give it up because sometimes it's hard, you know, when galleries lose stuff or damage stuff or don't pay you for stuff, you know, because I used to have my work across the country. And then I pulled it out of every single gallery and I decided I didn't want to do this anymore because it's too hard. And, but I found that I was, you know, I burst into tears at the kitchen table and stuff. And then I kept thinking, wow, that's it. I'm now at the point where the bulk of my family is. But my girls were so cute. They were like in middle school and, you know, early high school, and said, Mom, you just need to paint. And I started painting again and I never stopped. So typically I head to my studio first thing in the morning and I do it before I do anything else. And I think it actually keeps me grounded and healthy. And I know it made me a better mother. You know, I would get up early before the kids got up every day because I worked full time when I started. And I've always had really good jobs, worked with really great people, but painting fulfills me in a way that nothing else does. So it keeps me happy for sure. So yeah, I don't have the problem, although my first body of work lasted for like 10 years. There were interiors called Simple Pleasures. So these large sofas and chairs and stuff. And I painted, oh, I don't know, several thousand, you know, Heather, like you, like sometimes revisiting the same chair with new colors and, you know, different perspective and everything. And at the end, I was getting frustrated doing them. But the funny thing is, so I stopped, I started doing other things and like canoes, because everything that I do is really like you.
I like
Heather,
that canoe, by the way, the one that they showed at the beginning of our announcement. Your canoe is beautiful. I love it.
So yeah, I did
Yeah,
a bunch
really
of things.
beautiful.
That's when I was starting to do more, you know, incorporate more abstraction into my work, but it was still, you know, something recognizable. But now I'm revisiting those interiors, you know, 15 years later, or 10 years later or something, but small, and I'm loving it again. So I think I just needed a new subject matter, because I was, you know, my kids had been growing up then, because the reason I think my home was so important is I was at home a lot. I worked from home and out of home. And so I was painting everything that was around me. But then I got tired of just being at home, I guess, which is funny. My studio's in my home and I'm in my studio a lot, but I needed something else. And so that's when my canoes started, because I started thinking back to my childhood growing up in northern Manitoba. But painting, I never get bored of. It's sometimes the subject matter. So that's why I like to switch around a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Interesting that you were in galleries.
We've chosen very we're alone a lot in our houses as painters. Isolating. It's very isolating. That's why I'm a wild woman when I get on these things, is because I'm like, wow, I'm open to a whole world now, you know. It's like people, and I love to share my stuff or what I'm doing. So this has been such a fantastic opportunity for me to just share my truth, you know, share my paintings, share my studio, share my life. Don't you feel that way, Veronica? Like, this is just so cool. It breaks it all up.
And because I started pre-computers too, so then I had no control over my career. It was galleries. And now I feel like I have so much more control over what I do and how I do it and everything, which is really great. Because through the years, I found lots of times I've been misquoted, or, you know, in articles and stuff. And I just wish that, you know, I could control the message somehow, but, you know, they like to make it dramatic and whatever sometimes, media. So I feel like I have a lot more control over things like that as well. So
keep the drama, Veronica. You have got the talent and the name of drama, baby. Keep it dramatic.
I noticed before Anna Zanella had asked, Heather, do you plan to paint on plein air, or do you paint
no, you know, I'll tell you, I have painted plein air a lot in my life. It's funny, you know, I want to paint more plein air just to be out, just to hang out with cool artists. I don't like doing it by myself. I used to go with my husband. He would go fishing and I would paint. You know, I don't like to be out there with the bears by myself. So, you know, a lot of times it's just him and I will go up in a helicopter. I'll take pictures, which was the most awesome thing in the world to do. But, you know, it's mainly just photos. I can go plein air. I have done a plein air workshop. It didn't turn out that great, but it was pretty informative. But you know, I use technology in my art. I tell people, hey, we got a phone. We're not like from the old days. We're not making paint from cherries, right? From fruit. We're actually painting, you know, from paint. So go for it, you know, take your camera, take a photograph. You can play with the photo. You can up your shadows or up your highlights. You know, there's things you can do now that the masters couldn't do years and years ago. We have an opportunity to use these tools as artists to grow. And yeah.
Yeah. And do you sketch? You sketch when you're out taking photos as well?
No, I don't. I don't sketch. I'm kind of like Doug Swinton in a way. I prefer just to put my paint right down on the canvas when I'm looking at it, if I'm going to do it that way. You know, you kind of sketch in your head. You can take photos, you can crop photos to a way you want it to be and then go for it. I mean, I used to, a long time ago, I used to sketch a lot. Now, you know, I just paint, you know. But yeah, I would love to go out this summer and paint with y'all. Honestly, it would be really fun.
Do you have a favorite color?
Pardon?
Do you have a favorite color?
Well, purple, of course. Purple. I love all the shades of blue, purple. I like shadow colors more than I love oranges and yellow ochre and all those colors, all my hot colors, but like my cold colors, I like a little bit more because they're the ones that add the drama.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, come on. Do you have a favorite color, Veronica?
Blue, actually, but then I love every color, but blue and oranges are my absolute favorite.
Oh, look.
I know.
That's what's behind me. Yeah, I like blues. I like that combo. I like turquoise and orange and purple together. I just did a Moraine Lake a couple of weeks ago, and I used that combo, and it just excited me. It just lit up. So yeah, purple or turquoise, orange, and purple. Ooh, what a combo.
Nice.
And you know, we get to use that because of where we live.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Julie, is yours blue and like golden yellow?
Pretty much. You might guess. Yeah, it's actually like my underpainting is magenta, which is my favorite, but purples and blues and then the yellow, golds, oranges are my faves for sure. There are a couple questions, and sorry, I was having some internet issues, but Julie Stafford asked a while ago, she said, how do you stay focused on a series or technique? She says she gets bright shiny object syndrome where she jumps from one project to another. How do you focus?
Well, we kind of do that as artists full time, and we jump from one subject to another. Like a lot of times I'll get to a certain layer in my work that needs to kind of sit before I start using my magic glaze. And, you know, I'll put it to the side and paint something else while I'm waiting for that to dry. You know, you're constantly painting something other than, when I get bored with a piece while I'm painting it, I put it to the side and I start on something else. That keeps the creativity rolling. You don't want to get stuck in it.
Yep.
Because when you get stuck in the piece, then you could tell you're overworking or you're not in the right mindset. It shows. So that's what I try to do. That's what I try to do.
There was an
interesting question too from Sabrina Curtis. Can each of you speak to how much you paint from the heart versus painting by the rules?
Oh, well, I'll answer that. Sorry, Veronica.
That's a good one.
I don't paint with the rules. I was self-taught, so I don't know the rules. I'm just learning the rules through mastering. And I have to tell you, I'm not very good with rules.
Surprising.
Yeah, I'm a rule breaker. So I put on my music and I just paint. You know, a lot of times I don't stick to any rules. Well, I mean, there's a couple of rules, but you just got to let it flow. You let it flow natural, but you got to still stick to some of them. That's true. I can't say that.
You probably
like
have there. How about you, Veronica?
I think a lot of it, because, you know, I learned traditionally, but then I learned about, you know, Georgia O'Keeffe's of the world and the group of sevens and stuff. But I think having the basis, like knowing what composition, like if something looks heavy on one side, you know, that you can balance it with pattern or color, or you have to just rearrange your composition, like stuff like that. And, you know, contrast your light and dark and things like that. I think, so I think I follow the rules because I was taught them, but I don't consciously follow them. I just notice that something looks off. So that's when I'll turn it upside down or look in a mirror or turn it to black and white and go, oh, that, or I'll work on something else and I'll be like, oh, that's what's wrong with that one, right?
Yeah, I do the
I
same
don't
thing.
think about the rules consciously, but I think they're there just from, you know, and Heather, like from an illustrator background, you just learn what looks right? Like where something should sit on your surface. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was self-taught for the first 7 years and then started, and now with Mastrius, I'm learning a ton. So I'm finding I'm more focusing on the rules now and how to break them well, because with my style, like painting what the world actually looks like, I'm not as concerned about. So there's lots of things in that sort of regard that I break, but otherwise more the compositional elements and whatnot, I think a lot about currently, which I imagine one day I won't have to think about so much. But
I think every once in a while I'll have to keep going back. Once you look at something, you know it doesn't feel right. But yeah, the more you do something, I think it just happens naturally. Not to say that every painting works, because it doesn't. But
you have to have an eye. You have to have an eye. And you know, I'm thankful that all of my groups through Mastrius has had an eye, because I do believe you do have to have talent. You can learn all of the rules. You can learn how to paint, what paint to use, what brushes to use, what to use in your shadows, composition, values. You can learn all that, but you still got to have the artist eye, and your eye will tell you if something is wrong. You know, you still got to have it. You can learn all day long, but if you don't have that eye, I believe that you really do have to have, but most artists do have it already. And that's why they're artists, because they're passionate about it, because they know they got the gift.
And you know, the other thing too, I think, like when I'm working, I will start with a reference, like especially with the portraits, but then I put my reference away and I just paint, because I'm not concerned about making something look exactly like something else, right? So that's why I like doing a call for people to be part of my portrait projects, because I want them to see what the past projects look like before they decide they'd like to be part of it, because they might not like how I paint them, right? Because it's not going to be realistic. Or I almost like to think that the portraits I do are more illustrative than, you know, artistic or painterly, or they're definitely not traditional, that's for sure.
I love it. I love it. You know, I wanted to say, when you were talking about balance, I've literally balanced my paintings with my signature. So that's something to think about too. All of these aspiring artists, you know, if the painting is just a little off, you can always sign your signature in a bold color that will bring their eye to the area you want them to go. There's always little tricks.
I've done that too. A great question from Anne. What do you look for when you self-critique? And if you are doubting yourself, are there things you do to talk yourself off the ledge? Okay, so self-critique, and how do you deal with your own doubt? Who wants to take that?
One of the things that I, you know, just being told to hang my work in progress, I think was one of the best pieces of advice that I got. It was from Audrey Mabey. She's a Calgary painter. And she said, because you need to see, you know, not only to, you know, compare one piece to another and see what's working and what's not working, but also to see that you're actually accomplishing things. Because I think we forget that, like, wow, I've actually done something here. And I remember my first 52-week project was animals, because I grew up in Leaf Rapids, Manitoba. So it's way up north in the boreal forest by the Churchill River. And so one of the teachings that we had was, you know, pay attention to the animals that visit you a lot, because they have messages for you. But I remember as I was painting them, I was like, because I hadn't painted an animal since I got into college in the 80s, like I used it as my part of my portfolio. And I was so hard on myself. I thought these are terrible, but I was also experimenting with multimedia, trying something new on every different canvas. And but then when Audrey told me to do that, then I thought, okay, hang them up. And then as they were coming along, I started seeing, wow, this is actually something. It's something good. And so sometimes I think part of that to sharing what I was doing online, and you get feedback from people. That's always nice to keep you going and keep you motivated. And then also, you know, like I said, turn it upside down, look at it from a new perspective. Sometimes even asking for somebody else's input, but you have to be careful who you ask. You know, like you can't have somebody critiquing your stuff that wants you to do it the way they do it. That's a bad idea, because I don't think everybody should do things the same way. I think everybody has something of value to contribute. So
yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
yeah.
I don't like critiquing people's work, to be honest, because I believe that your art is your art.
I think so too.
You know?
Well, look at Maud Lewis. I keep saying, look at Maud Lewis. Her stuff travels around the world in exhibits. You know, she's painted in her tiny little house out east. You know, folk art, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why we have a wide range of master artists at Mastrius, is because we have the classically trained, you know, artists. We have self-taught artists. We have some that are massively gallery represented, some that are not at all, but are selling online, doing it their own way. There is no right way. If I've learned anything, there is no one way to do it.
There's no rules. There's no rules.
Yeah.
I have a rule. Put on the music that gets you going. Music, that's my rule. My rule is put on some music.
What music do you listen to?
Well, it depends. If I'm doing a big, strong mountain, I'll put on some rock and roll, play a little Nickelback, play a little AC/DC. But then, you know, like if I'm doing, I don't know, a beautiful meadow, I even like opera music. Opera music, like for some weird reason, it speaks to my paintbrush, and my brush just, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy what music can do. If I got to get a painting done, put on something with a faster beat, and your paintbrushes.
Oh my gosh, I have to be careful of that. I go too fast and I'm finding myself get anxious. So I have to be really careful. Heather, how do you self-critique?
You know, I just look at it. I look at it and I go, what does it need? And I keep doing that until I say I can't find anything else it needs. And then I know it's done. You got to keep looking at it. You got to hang it up, just like you said. I hang it up. I have my little nails on my wall in front of me. And then I just hang them up and I stare at them all the time. My husband's always catching me going, what are you doing? I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting in my studio, just staring at paintings. And he'll be like, you've been there for 20 minutes. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just looking at something.
Yeah, I do that too.
How about you, Julie? How do you self-critique?
Yeah, I think I usually have a sense when something is off, and then I too, I'll put it in my living room on an easel, and I will, every time I'm sitting down, I'm staring at it, and eventually I'll have an aha moment and I'll know what it is. But yeah, it's not that I think through the rules and the methods and whatnot. It's more of an intuitive something that feels wrong. And then my heart has to figure that out, and it takes time. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. Just keep looking.
Keeps looking at it. You'll know if it's wrong. You'll look at it, you'll find it.
Sometimes I put it away for a bit because it's been in my face too much and I stopped really seeing it, right? So even just put it in my closet for a week and then pull it back out. Sometimes as soon as I look at it, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's good to have friends who you can send images to, and I have a couple.
You know what's really cool, Julie, is when you don't look at it for like a year or two, and then you look at it. Like it's already been sold, it's long gone, and then you're going through your photos and you're like, wow, I did that. And I'm like, no way, you know? Or you look at it and you go, oh my God, somebody bought that. They liked that, you know?
That's usually what I'm thinking. Heather, how do you tackle a piece? Do you start with reference photos and sketches and then the canvas?
Yeah, you know, I do reference photos. I look at pictures constantly. I mean, honestly, if you look at my phone, I have like 50,000. I had to just pay for more storage fees because my phone is just blowing up and I don't want to delete anything because there's so many reference pictures in there. I have to get a bigger phone. But yeah, I take photos. I love to take snap pictures and crop them because that comes from my graphic background, right? I like to crop stuff. I like to go, wouldn't that look good if that tree was with that rock by that? But, you know, I do move stuff around and I let my students know, you know, it's not like it really looks like that. You know, you have to make the land become the way you feel. And if putting a tree by that rock makes it look way cooler, then do it, you know? So yeah,
Or
I mean,
add
that's
a
for my
tree or
graphic.
take out a tree, right?
Yeah, or take out, you know, the construction worker who had his little hat on. Yeah, or take out the bridge that's blocking the view, you know?
Yeah.
I do a lot of removal of bridges. There's a lot of bridges by waterfalls that aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry guys, I took out your bridge.
What do you do with the paintings that don't turn out? Do you burn them? Do you paint over them?
I don't believe in burning paintings. I believe paintings are they're all learning processes. I have one that's hanging up that is the ugliest painting I've ever painted. I will not show it to you. It is in my studio. If you come here, you'll see it. But I hang it up and I look at it all the time. There's no way to fix it, but I won't burn it. I mean, I have sanded stuff down and repainted. You know, I've done 3 layers tops, but I have done 3 layers of paint on some. Trying to fix them, but that's the fun of it too. For me, it's the puzzle. I like the puzzle part of it, trying to figure stuff out, right? So that when I do a bad one, then I try to fix it. And so that's something that I really like too, is fixing the puzzle. So there's ways you can do it. I discovered a really cool, I put this really cool landscape together because it was a bad painting. And then I ended up adding a field and some funky trees and it changed the whole thing. So like, and then I was like, I got to try that one again, you know? And like, because now it's not a fako, it's not a double painting. It's now I can do it fresh with fresh eyes. So yeah, you know, you got to let the canvas speak to you.
Robert Gann told me years ago, sometimes you need to burn some. So I did. I actually lit probably like I took them off the stretcher bars because I used to stretch all my own canvases, but took them off the stretcher bars and I actually burnt them. And it was very cathartic. And I think it was a huge mental shift for me because then I stopped being so precious about the work. And I realized, you know what, it doesn't matter. That was a part of the learning process and we can move forward. And because I think those particular paintings were kind of holding me back a little bit. So, but yeah, I haven't burnt them since. Every once in a while I do, you know, same thing, sand, gesso, start again. Because I think those under layers add a little bit of
sometimes they do
too.
texture. Yeah. I don't burn canvas. I burn, I like to burn, marriage certificates. No, I'm just kidding. Past boyfriend letters. No.
Oh, too funny. Yeah.
So hey, I got a cool announcement.
Oh,
yeah, just a little one. I was contacted by this really funky, cool gallery in Toronto. So I'm going into it. I said yes. I said yes again. I keep saying yes. And the more I say yes, the more pressure is on me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say no. Which
gallery, Heather?
It's called the Loom. oh my God, no, it's called Muse Gallery. And it's on Yonge Street in Toronto. Super hot area, super cute gallery.
Yeah.
Sheila Davis, one of the masters, she's hanging in it as well.
Nice.
I'm so excited.
Congrats.
So excited. Well, I'm excited because it's more land. It's more juicy land, like moss and waterfalls, another kind of land to try to figure out all those puzzles. So I'm very excited.
That is cool. Congrats.
That's what this is for. This is for them. I haven't finished it.
Cool.
Isn't it cool?
Oh yeah.
Can you feel it?
Feeling it.
Julie, you didn't mention whether you've ever burnt your work or what.
Yeah.
I've never burnt it, but I do. When a painting is really done and it's like a monkey on my back, I do rip it off, roll it up and throw it away. And that's such a good feeling, I have to say, because I feel guilty when I've put so much time and so much paint down. Like I had a piece that went through my galleries and no one wanted it and I didn't even want it. But I had to throw it away and it felt so good. Otherwise, my painting is so smooth. I can't paint over stuff. I have to sand it down if I'm going to do anything. But usually I just replace the canvas. But yeah, feels good.
Here's a crazy story. Do you remember a long time ago, the Dick Van Dyke Show? I don't know. You guys probably still do that. I'm thinking. Well, he had an artist on once when I was a kid, and the artist used a squirt gun to make paintings, right? He would fill it with paint and he would squirt gun the canvas and then he would sell it for all this money. And I was like, I'm going to try squirt gunning, So I did. And it was so terrible. So I took it and I threw it out in the dumpster. And guess what? Someone stole it.
No way.
Someone took it. I put it in the dumpster. I had made it into my own, I signed it, everything. And I was like, this is garbage. So I threw it away. And within a couple of hours, I'm not kidding you, I looked at the dumpster to look at it again and it was gone.
That's
wow. Cool.
That's so cool.
Which is kind of creepy to think somebody took it.
And I have learned that, just because I don't like something I've created, like I've had corporations come to my studio to buy stuff. And then there were, my stack of like, don't see those. They went through them and they sold, like they bought them. It's like, so you just never know. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean somebody else might not like it. And sometimes people contact me 10 years after the fact. Oh, do you still have that painting available? Well, no.
No, I burnt that one. Yeah, it's in my backyard.
It's just finding the right eyes, right? That's half the battle.
Well, you know what? The truth is that being an artist and living by your brush, it is so cool. Like I helped raise 2 boys with my paintbrush. You know what I mean? Like my passion, my love for doing what I love to do actually flourished into, we live in a nice house. We're able to give our children good education. We have dinner sometimes. And Andrew Kiss told me, he's a really big time artist. He's been doing art for years. He said, sometimes it's the chicken for dinner and sometimes it's just the bones. And that's the truth. As an artist, sometimes you get a windfall. Sometimes you don't sell anything. And you've invested everything into yourself. So sometimes you're eating hamburger helper. Sometimes you're making beautiful,
I bartered paintings for plumbing for my daughter's 10 years of orthodontics.
Wow.
Glasses. And it's funny, it was not me asking them. They all asked me. It's like, oh, that's fantastic. Yes,
that's great idea.
Paintings.
Yeah, that's another cool perk is being an artist, that you can do a lot of trading, which is fun. It's fun trading with other artists too.
It is, yeah.
I have to say, when you are in love with someone's work, it's so cool to like trade them. Like I have a David Zimmerman bear in my living room that I love, and he gave it to me, and it's like so special. So yeah, that's a cool thing to be able to trade though. Yeah, I want I'm looking for a live edge dining room table. So if anyone's looking for a painting, let me know.
Ooh, good to know. That's awesome.
I'm just
Ver-
teasing.
Veronica, Veronica, when you left all the galleries, what do you do now? I know that you do exhibits, but how do you get your work out there? Are you still able to sell? Are you selling privately? How are you making it work?
So it's a funny career that I have now, because that I'm doing these project-based things, but I still do my other things too, just not as much. I still have a few galleries, but I like completing a project and finding a place to exhibit it. I get commissions. It's like a cobbled together career. I get paid to write articles. I get paid to do commissions. I get paid, like people contact me because they see something on social media, so it's a little bit of everything. And I think it works for my brain. I'm not diagnosed, but ADHD runs in my family, so my daughter's, getting treatment for it. My mother, it's just generational.
Yep.
So I think it's all art related, but and teach, like, I just taught a group and I'll be teaching another group in another week, going back into the schools again. So that's an interesting thing. So yeah, an artist in residency, like it's just a little bit of everything. And it works for me. I tried, markets years ago, that just didn't work for me. I found I got exhausted, but my best gallery was in Inglewood, and he would host a solo show or two a year for me, whatever I had for him, whatever I wanted to exhibit. So he retired, went back to Montreal. So that was a huge shift for me, but that was, shortly before pandemic too. So yeah, I'm just rolling with the punches, and it's okay. I just, Heather, like you said, you just keep working and opportunities.
You just keep doing it. You don't quit. You don't quit. That's the whole thing. You got to just hang on. Just keep doing it. Just keep putting your heart into it. Hang on,
And Zoom has been fantastic because people want artwork for Zoom calls and meetings. So this last 2 years, I've done a lot of that. So that was really great.
All right, we're almost at the hour. How about final thoughts, Heather? If there's one thing you could go back and do differently, or if there's one thing that you could say to our aspiring and emerging artists, something that you've learned, some great, brilliant thing would be fantastic. No pressure.
Oh God, I got nothing. Okay, let me think. Confidence is number one. You know what? You don't have to pretend that you're an artist. You are an artist. Okay. So be confident, do what you love, laugh, aim high, believe in yourself, inspire other people, make the world a more beautiful place. I love all the artists I've met. I love so many Canadian artists. I can't even list them. They just inspire me. And you know what? And they inspire me, and I continue to inspire others. And it's just a chain of inspiration. And I think we should all just inspire each other and love each other. And that's it. And smile.
We're better together. That's awesome.
Yeah, we are. Mastrius is cool. I love it. This is the coolest thing ever. You guys really are like Silicon Valley. This is the stuff right here. Yeah. I knew it when I heard about you, Julie. I knew it. I said, they're onto something, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Oh, we're so glad to have both of you. Unbelievable. Our community is amazing. All right, well, I'm going to stay on the call and share a bit about Mastrius and how you can be part of the community in different ways. Thank you, Heather and Veronica. So nice to chat with you.
And it was great to meet you, Veronica. I finally got to talk to you. You're awesome.
Yeah, you're both awesome. So good to have you.
You're awesome too, Julie.
Yeah. Thank you. Lots of hearts coming up and thank yous in the chat. Heather, thank you for sharing your heart and your experience, and Veronica too. That's how we all learn and inspire each other. I love that. So thank you. We'll see you we'll see you at some other events or in our mentorship groups. So,
Ciao. Have a super
okay.
day, guys.
You too. Thanks for coming.